Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and a puzzle I have to say I am absolutely terrified by. This puzzle is called Two Truths and a Different Truth, and it's by Oddlyeven, and it's evolved from Skojo's recent prompt, where, as I understand it, people had to copy other people's style, and so Oddlyeven has copied Viking Prime's style of puzzle and produced this thing. And I mean, I actually read the rules twice before I turned on the webcam. To say I understood them would be well, it would be a different truth. I'm not sure it would be a precise truth. And anyway, I found it on Logic Masters Germany. It's got 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty. I managed to find that there's an example on Logic Masters Germany that I'm hoping, when we go through together, will elucidate some of what's going on to me. But it also had some amazing comments, including one from Viking Prime himself, saying that this is one of the finest puzzles ever made. And that may well be true once we understand the rules. Anyway, we'll get to those in a moment or two's time. I will steel myself. Now, loads of other things to tell you about. Let's start off by saying thank you to all those of you who joined us last night when Mark and I returned to streaming. We are going to try and be a bit more regular about it in the coming weeks. But we returned to streaming. We streamed a game called Rita. And the developers joined us on the stream, which is, I'm always sort of thrilled when that happens. And the game was great, and it even had a sort of special section. They programmed a special part of the game for Cracking the Cryptic, so we sort of emerged in this part, and it was Cracking the Cryptic themed. Really incredible, really just incredible to see that. We had a great time. The game's not out yet, but when it does come out, we shall no doubt revisit it. But the stream, such as it is, we can rewatch it if you haven't seen it already. What else can I tell you about? Well, we should check out where we are on the monthly competition. This is not the monthly competition. This is the live edition of Cracking the Cryptic we're doing at the Stratford-upon-Avon Literary Festival in November. But that is not what I was trying to get to. I was trying to get to this. Here we go. Maverick's flying over. That's not taken him long to take off today. So this is the monthly competition. It runs until the 20th, so not too long to go. And you can see this is where we were. Let's do a quick refresh. So 786, 861. Good grief! Closing in on 2,000 solves for the first puzzle. Absolutely phenomenal work to everybody who solved the whole puzzle hunt. It's really terrific. So many brilliant people who are getting involved in this. I really, it fills me with a certain amount of a lot of joy, actually. It really is brilliant. And actually, I will mention and say, well done. Who was it? Alex and Christina, who sent me a picture. Have I got that? I've got it. Yeah, here we go. This is a recent plane journey that they took for a weekend in Budapest, and they decided that they would attempt the monthly reward while on the plane. So they printed out all the puzzles, and apparently it was a great way to spend the flight. So they wanted me to shout out Sven, of course, who makes the Sudoku pad software that we use, because Sven has made it so when you print out the puzzles, apparently they print beautifully. So Sven, well done for doing that, and well done to Alex and Christina on solving the whole hunt on a plane journey. That is very, very cool. Now, what else can I tell you about? There are other things. Lots of you have been asking where the new worms are. So we are about to release, and indeed may have released by the time this video goes live, packs of Sudokus by Fistamafel and by Michael Lefkowitz. Now, I think, if I understand our app developer's message this morning correctly, they may well be out by this evening on Apple and on Steam. The Android release is pending and should happen at any moment, but we can't control that one yet. But the other two I think we can control, and I understand is it should have been done. So do check those out. They are fantastic collections of puzzles. Yeah, continuing, of course, our series of worms. We've already had one worm by James Sinclair, one worm by Marty Sears. So to add Fistamafel and Juggler to that coterie feels extremely appropriate. And then I've got a couple of birthdays to do today as well. I'm going to start off with a lovely birthday. Eleanor, spelt, I believe, in the Tolkien way. You have turned 1 today. And your dad Alex wrote to us and told us that you've been watching or listening ever since you were born. And it's now at the point where if you hear the music, the Cracking the Cryptic music, you stop whatever you're doing and you clap. Oh, is that true? I'd love to see video of that. Eleanor, many, many happy returns. At the age of 1, you probably can't have chocolate cake yet. But I hope that you have an absolutely brilliant birthday and you get all of the toys that you're hoping for. And thank you very much for spending time watching the channel. And then another birthday is for Jonathan. I'm a bit late with this one, but it's not my fault. Indeed, it's not really Jonathan's fault either, because his birthday was on the 14th. And I know that your birthday was rudely interrupted by a trip to hospital, so I hope that you're well on the mend now. And while Jonathan was laid up in hospital, he decided to watch one of my icy fruit battles. So that will probably have used up a few hours at least. I did see there was a new icy fruit puzzle that's been released too. So at some stage, when I have many hours of sort of free time in front of me, I will have a go at that. But I hope the subsequent birthday celebrations, Jonathan, have been good. And yeah, thank you for spending time watching the channel. That's all the news. Let's have a look at Oddlyeven's puzzle. Right. Now, trust me when I tell you that these rules are head-wrecking. But let's read them together. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Now that part I understand perfectly, I think. So we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Then we've got Yin Yang. So we have to shade some cells in the grid such that all shaded cells are orthogonally connected and all unshaded cells are orthogonally connected, and no 2x2 area of the grid may be entirely shaded or entirely unshaded. So the classic shape that I use to illustrate a potential yin-yang shading is this one. So this is a valid yin-yang shading. And the reason it's valid is that you can see that you can trace through all the green cells can be reached by all the other green cells by moving through green cells that share an edge with one another. So if we were to add this cell into the green colouring, it no longer meets the conditions. This green cell only touches other green cells at a point at the diagonal vertex. That's not enough for an orthogonal connection. So it's got to be through cells that share an edge. You can see the oranges meet that criteria too. And if we have examined the grid carefully, you won't find any 2x2 area anywhere that is entirely one colour. So that is the rule. They are the rules of yin-yang. But it then says a cell that is a doubler has value equal to twice its digit. So if this cell was an 8 and it was a doubler, it would have the value of 16. Even now, I'm still completely fine with the rules. However, this next part I am not happy with. Or when I say not happy, it's definitely English. It's just not English that's permeated my brain properly. So it then says, 2 truths and a different truth. For all of the following constraints, if shaded cells are treated as doublers and unshaded cells are normal, then 2 of the clues are correct and the 3rd is incorrect. If unshaded cells are treated as doublers and shaded cells are normal, then the same 2 clues are incorrect and the 3rd is correct. Okay then. And then it's got a list of constraints that for which this matters. So we've got Renban. We'll just read these. We won't try and work out what on earth that other paragraph meant yet. I've got an example that I'm hoping will explain everything. So values on a pink line form a set of consecutive numbers with no repeats. Values. Numbers as well. That's interesting, isn't it? It's not, normally it says digits. There it says numbers, which might mean this can contain double digit. So a double digit number. Right, so I mean, if this cell was a 1, ignore the funny rule. Then how long is this? It is 8 cells long. So in order to be a consecutive sequence of digits without a repeat, this would contain 1, 2 in some order. It doesn't have to be in the order. It doesn't have to be in any sequential order, but it has to contain the digits 1 to 8 once each in order to be consecutive with the digit 1. So that is a potential way of filling a Renban. Now, arrows. Values on an arrow sum to the value in that arrow circle. So if this was 1, 2, 3, that would be a 6, ignoring all the nonsenses. X's. Values on an X sum to 10. So if that was a 2, that would be an 8. 2 plus 8 equals 10. Dots. Values on a white dot are consecutive. Values on a black dot are in a 1 to 2 ratio. So one digit will be double the other. So if that was a 2, that could be a 4, because 4 is double 2, or it could be a 1, because 2 is double 1. Ignoring all the nonsenses again. And then finally, odd and even. A value on a grey circle. So we've got 3 grey circles. They've got to be odd values, and a value on a grey square has to be even. So those are the rules. However, it's this 2 truths and a different truth point. Now, I've snipped an example here. Oh gosh, it's a bit big. It's not. Okay, so I'll read the words in the example, but we're going to be looking at this picture. So it says, example, dark green is shaded and light green is unshaded. The values on a V sum to 5. When shaded is doubled, the outer 2 V clues are correct and the center V clue is incorrect. Okay, so dark green is shaded. Yeah, I mean, this one is definitely incorrect, because if these are doubled, the values here are 4 and 6, and they don't add up to 5. This one is correct. Oh yeah, because the 1 is doubled and becomes a 2. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. That works. And this one hasn't got any greens on it. Dark greens. So that one can be correct. Okay. And when unshaded is doubled, the central V clue is correct and the 2 outer V clues are incorrect. So if we now reverse it and say, now light green is doubled, well, obviously this one's definitely wrong, because that's 2 and 8 are the values and they don't add up to 5. Yeah, the middle one is now correct, because now dark green is undoubled. This is mad. And this one's not correct, because the 3 has a value of 6. Right, so, and this all obeys the rules, does it? So yeah, I sort of see, I dimly see. So what it's saying is that if dark green is shaded, then 2 of the clues are correct, and those same 2 clues become wrong if the shading has its opposite meaning. Oh man, that is so confusing. That is so confusing. How do people just get their heads around this? Anyway, we're just going to have to plough into it and see how we get on. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, I mean, the only thing I'm going to do at the start of this is nothing to do with that nonsense. I'm going to tell you some secrets I know about Yin Yang, because there are some, and they're normally important. So, in a Yin Yang puzzle, what colours am I going to choose today? I might have green and yellow maybe today. You can never have a checkerboard. And the reason is that we've got this requirement that we have to connect the greens orthogonally. And if you have a checkerboard in a 2x2, then however you connect the greens up, you'll find you can't then connect the yellows up, because you'll have to pass through green in order to connect the yellows up. There's no orthogonal way of doing it. So that cannot be true. Oh, news story. Oh dear. Robert Redford has died. Oh, that is sad. Okay, sorry, I got distracted there. Now, right. Anyway, let's try and concentrate again. Yeah, so you can't have a checkerboard. Now that leads to certain considerations about the perimeter of a Yin Yang puzzle. Let's think about those. So you absolutely can have a perimeter that's entirely one colour. That is completely legitimate. And you can have the perimeter that introduces a second colour. That's also legitimate. But here's the question. Let's say we were in this position. Is it possible that we introduce another change of colour in the perimeter? The answer is no. Because if we did do that, for example, let's make this cell yellow. You can think of these areas of the colours now that we've got as a bit like an exploded checkerboard, because we've got this requirement, don't we, that the yellows have to connect orthogonally. And however we achieve that connection, can you see that this green now can't connect to the top green? It's the same sort of effect that we had in the 2x2, just exploded out and made bigger. So what that means is that in a Yin Yang puzzle, either the perimeter will be one colour, or it will have two stretches of colour, but it can never have more than that. And very often the game in town in a Yin Yang puzzle is to find where the breaks occur in the perimeter, to force where there has to be a perimeter break. Now, having said that, in this puzzle I really have no clue where to look about that. I mean, I don't know if we have to have a change of colour on the Renban. This is an 8-cell Renban. Okay, so what are we saying? We're saying that there's going to be some colouring in the grid. And then the cells on this Renban that are... And this is really hard to even articulate what I'm... Okay, let's change that. Let's say, is it possible that that Renban is entirely one colour? That must be possible, isn't it? Isn't that possible? If it's entirely one colour, then... It's quite weird, actually. So, if it's entirely one colour, then that has to be correct. That has to be a real Renban in one version, doesn't it? Because the way this two truths and a different truth paragraph is phrased, we don't know whether yellow is going to count as describe it, shaded or unshaded. But in one version, let's say this was shaded. Then we have to, if shaded are treated as doublers, then this clue might be correct or incorrect. In fact, it can't be correct. In fact, if yellow was doubled, you can't make this work because it's not going to have any odd digits on it or odd values on it. So if this was entirely one colour, then how would it ever be correct? It would have to be unshaded. Well, it would have to be undoubled. I don't know about that. The shading rule is weird, but it would have to be... Am I right that it has to be correct in some... I think this might be the point. For all of the constraints, under one shading analysis, it has to work, I think. Because what the rule seems to require us to do is, in fact, let's introduce two colours on here. What it says to do is, okay, we might be treating green as doublers and these as normal. And then either that will lead to this being a true Renban or it won't. But then the next line says, reverse the effect of the shading, and that has the opposite effect on the constraint. So if this was untrue, with this being doubled and this being normal, then when we double this and make this normal, it must be true. Right. That feels like an important point. So there must always be a way that the clue is true under one shading. I think that means this could have a single colour shading, because providing it was undoubled, if that contained the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like we did in the example, and it was all one colour, then it would be correct when that colour stood for not doubling itself, I think. So, and that's bad. All of that logic is, well, the logic I think is right, but the conclusion is bad, because you can't therefore say that there has to be a break in the colour on the Renban. And that's terrible. That is terrible. So what on earth am I meant to do here then? So there has to be... Okay. Yeah, so maybe it's the black dots actually that we're meant to start with. That would would work, wouldn't it? In terms of, because what I'm thinking is this, and this might be total nonsense. If these are both the same colour, the effect of doubling is to times by 2, and that should preserve the ratio, shouldn't it? Yeah, I might be wrong about this, but let's just explore this for a moment. So let's say that this was correct. So what I'm firstly hypothesizing is that these two cells are the same shading across the black dot. Now, we know that we're going to have to run an analysis. So this shading might say, okay, this is shaded, and therefore this clue might be incorrect on the analysis that this is a double, that this means doubles. But if that's true, well, it's not true, is it? It's correct, because we've put a correct ratio on. And if I double, if the effect of yellow is then analysed under a doubling relationship, it doesn't change. That becomes 4, that becomes 8, it's still correct. So it's correct whatever yellow is. That can't be right. Well, although... Yeah, that's right. That is right. Okay, it might be easier to see if I take the numbers out. If I take the numbers out, whether yellow means doubled or not, in one iteration, this ratio has to work. That's what it tells us, 2 truths and a different truth. And the only way it can work ever is if, because, yeah, this can't be true. It's sort of mathematically forced that it can't be true. Because the effect of doubling is to times the numbers by 2, and that's going to preserve the ratio. So if these are both subject to doubling, because they're both the same colour, you aren't going to change the ratio. So there cannot be a way of making the clue false, if you see what I mean. Because if this is in the correct ratio, then it's correct whether it's doubled or not. And if it's in an incorrect ratio, because you're applying the same doubling force to both thingies, it's not correct if it's undoubled, and it's not going to be correct if you double it. So it never meets the criteria. So okay. So now what we can say is that a black dot, and this is true for all the black dots, they are different colours, and this is huge for the shading of the perimeter. Because what we can now do is something like this. If we go, so we know that these are different shadings. These are different colours. Now imagine that the shading went like this. That's not possible, because how many changes of colour now have I got in the perimeter? Too many. I go yellow, green, yellow, back to green again. But we know that's too many changes of colour. When I join this yellow to this yellow, however I do it, this green is isolated. So we've got to preserve whatever colouring we put here, we have to preserve it here. So it has to look like that. And now there can be no more changes of colour. We've got 1 here and 2 here. So we can join the greens up, we can join the yellows up around the perimeter. And now we can make this yellow to avoid a 2 by 2. And now we can make this yellow to avoid a checkerboard. And at least we've started. Now, I can see other things here as well. Because look, we're going to have, similarly, we're going to have to put greens into the corners to avoid 2 by 2s. And this little patch of green here has to get out, because it's going to have to go and meet its friends. And now what do we do? Well, now I desperately want to make that yellow, but that might be totally and utterly wrong. I don't know. If these are both the same colour, I'm trying... Oh, this is so hard to think through. I'm so stupid. This is making me feel so thick. So if this means... Hang on a minute. How does this ever work? Yeah, hang on a moment. A value on a grey square is even, but that's got to be incorrect in some... Yeah, how does... Okay, so I think, and this probably was obvious to loads of you, I think all of those are odd. I think. That might be wrong. But this is my logic for that. There has to be a situation in which it's possible that a grey square, so one of these 3 cells, is not correct. So the only way, given that to be correct they have an even value, that means they have to have an odd value. Now if I double a digit, I get an even value. So if these were, let's say that this was an even number, it doesn't matter what green is. It doesn't matter whether green is shaded or unshaded. You can't make this have an odd value ever. It just can't have one. So it will always be correct, and that's not what the rules say. There has to be a way of making this incorrect. So I think it has to be, well, they have to be odd. And now, so if this was also green, they're all the same shading, that can't be right. They're all going to have the same profile then, because in fact, isn't this telling us that this might be telling us something important? It might be telling us that green is shaded. It might be. It might not be as well, but that's where my brain is going. Naughty brain that is failing to understand this. So if shaded cells are treated as doublers and unshaded cells are normal, then 2 of the clues are correct and the third is incorrect. And then if we reverse the meaning of the shadedness, that reverses which is correct and which is incorrect. So this can't be green, because under the analysis that green means doubling, they're all correct. So that's total nonsense. You cannot have that situation. That has to be yellow. That green now has to get out. And we know that black dots can't have the same colouring. They have to, because that's the whole basis for this. So this is now a yellow digit on top of a green digit. The green still has to get out. Yeah, but just to go back to the other question I had in my brain, which is, it's 2 truths and a different truth. So if green was unshaded now, let's read the rules again, thinking that green means unshaded. So green is unshaded, so yellow is shaded. So if yellow is treated as a doubler, then 2 of the clues are correct. No, that's impossible. It's impossible, because these are going to be treated as normal and they are not even. So so in fact what we have learned is that green is shaded and yellow is unshaded. And let's read the rules with that in our brains. So if green is treated as a doubler, these are both doubled, so they both become even, perfect. And the unshaded is normal, so this stays odd. Then 2 of the clues are correct, which is these 2, and this becomes incorrect. That's correct. You could get into a lot of strange sentences here. And then if yellow, which is now we're saying is unshaded, if this is treated as a doubler, then this becomes correct, and these 2 are normal, so they stay odd and are wrong. And we have got the clues doing the opposite thing in the opposite shading. So this is correct. So now we can now think to ourselves, and I'm going to do this, that green is shaded in this puzzle and yellow is unshaded wherever it occurs. So green, to put that a different way, green has to be correct twice under the doubler analysis. Maybe that's a better way of thinking about it. green has to be correct twice under the doubler analysis. Yellow has to be correct once. Yeah. Wow. Oh, it's still slight. Oh, I just noticed that I could avoid a 2x2 there by making that green. So now, do I know what that is? I've got a green. Does that have to be yellow or does it have to be green? If it's green, same effect is being applied to both digits, which could be doubling or not. But if it's yellow, one of them is being doubled and the other isn't. Yeah, you could do that, couldn't you? 6 and 2, for example. If the 2 was doubled and the 6 was natural, that would be okay. And I think it's fine for them both to be the same, because it could just be a 2 and an 8 or something. Yeah, and if it was 2 and 8 and then you doubled them, they would be wrong. So that's fine. Okay, all right. So actually, that's weird. I think that's okay. So what I'm learning there is that it's the special nature of the 2-to-1 ratio and the effect of doubling and how it sort of it preserves the ratio. That means that these have to be opposite colours. It doesn't necessarily mean this has to be opposite colours. What about this with the white dots then? If the white dots were all one colour and you put a 1 and a 2 on them, they would be incorrect if you doubled them, wouldn't you? Because they become 2 and 4 values, which would be wrong. So you could switch the effect even though they were the same colour. Yeah, okay. And I don't see what's wrong with having different colours on a white dot. That must be able to be worked. If this meant doubled, it becomes 6. So if that was 7, that would work. So white dots, X's, I don't think we can do very much with. I suspect it's Renban's next. Or is it black dots? Actually, maybe, hang on, there has to be a way that black dot... This can't be 5, 7 or 9, can it? No, it can't. Because there has to be an analysis that allows this black dot to work with one of these being doubled and the other not being. So if this was 5, sure, you could double it and it become worth 10, but then to be in a 2-to-1 ratio, this would have to be another 5. That won't work. And we can't use non-integers. So 5, 7 and 9 can disappear from here. 1 or 3. Now if it's 3, well, actually, how does that work now? Have I made a mistake here? Because if that's 3 and that's... No, that doesn't... I don't think it works. I don't think 3 works either. That makes me think I've probably got no way of making it working. Because 3, if that's under a doubler analysis, this becomes worth 6, but to make this correct, that would have to be another 3 then, and that won't work because they've got 2 3s. And if this is natural, what number is this, such that we can apply a different doubler analysis, which is going to be a doubler, so that's going to have to be 3 as well. And there's no way, that's never 3 either. And if it's 1... Oh, no. Right, it does work with 1. Ah, I see. Yeah, dimly. If this is a 1, then it can work under a doubler analysis. Because imagine this was the doubler. It would be worth 2. And this doesn't have to be 1 now. That could be 4. Well, in fact, I think that's the only way that can work. Because if this is treated as not the doubler and it has the value of 1, this has to be a doubler and have the value of 2, and it can't be a doubler because it would need another 1. But so it works this way round. That's really weird. This is the most peculiar puzzle. That is not a 1 by Sudoku now. I sort of want to take the 1s out of all of the squares. That's not how the puzzle rules work, though. So this black dot then, yeah, I think maybe this has to be, yeah, this is going to be 2, 8 is what this one's going to be. Because 1, 4 is a possible analysis. That can work. I think 2, 8 can work as well, because you can double the 2 to have a value of 4 and have an 8 opposite it with its own value. And it works. But that wasn't possible here, because we worked out earlier this digit had to be odd. So sorry, I don't know what that means. I suspect I've got to think about this Renban. I really, really don't want to. Okay, but that's going to be the same here, isn't it? So it's 1, 2, 4, and 8 are what you have to put on black dots in this puzzle. And we know... Oh, and this Renban is all one colour. Oh, and we know that this is the unshaded colour, don't we? Well, that's what we decided yellow was. Right, that's interesting. That is interesting. Because under what situation is this Renban ever going to be correct? It's going to have to be in its undoubled form, isn't it? Because if it's only got doublers on it, and because it's all one colour, that's for the effect of doubling every digit. It wouldn't have an odd value on it. That's not going to work. So this is an 8-cell Renban that is correct when undoubled, and therefore it's either the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or it's the digits 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And therefore it has 4 on it, definitely. And that 4 is here. Now that might well have 1 on it as well. If there is a 1 on this, it's got to be, this is a 1, 4 pair. In fact, if it does have 1 on it, that corner digit is a 9 on the Renban. But hang on. How does this work? So this yellow is correct. Yellow is going to have a sequence of digits on it that are correct when green is doubled. And these other 2 Renbans, they both have 2 greens on them. How does this work then? So the Renbans have to be correct when one colour is doubled and the other is left alone. So they have to have 2 odd digits on them in one of the colours. Because again, the digits that get doubled obviously can't provide odd values to the Renban. It's 4 consecutive values, so two of the values have to be odd, and the only way of generating odd values in this puzzle is to have original odd values that then get unadulterated in the paragraph. So what are the odd values? So hang on, here's a different point. So the odd values are providing themselves. The even values are being provided by doublers. And that means that 9 is not a digit on this Renban. And the reason for that is that if 9 was on it, the value of 8 would have to be delivered to the Renban, and that would have to be delivered by a doubler, which would be a doubled 4, and that's not a possible number. So okay, so by the same token, we can't double anything bigger. So we can't double anything bigger than 3. Because once you can't double 4, if you were to say, oh, well, it's fine, we'll put double 5 on. No, you can't put double 5 on, because that's going to have a value of 10. You're then going to need an odd digit of 9, and you're going to need an even digit of 8 again, or even value of 8, which again is going to need the 4. So the only digits that can be doubled on here, given 1 and 4 are not available, 5's too big, is 2 and 3. So there are definitely 2 and 3 on this Renban, and they are doubled. So this is 8, this is 2, this is not 3. And either the 2 and the 3 appear in green, or they appear in yellow. And they're going to have the value, they're going to be doubled, so they're going to have the values 4 and 6. So 5 has to appear as an odd value in this conurbation. Oh yeah, and 3's gone, because 3's been doubled in here. So this is not the values 3, 4, 5 and 6. It must be the values 4, 5, 6 and 7. So 7 is in here. This is so, I mean, it's ridiculously clever. That's become a 9 now by Sudoku. That actually can't be a 2. It sees 2 in the column. So I'm just going to put these values in. That one is 3, 5 or 7. That is, actually those two are 2, 3, 5, 7. And that one's 2, 3, 5, 7. So that's not actually gone very well, but never mind. This is a 6 by Sudoku. I wonder if we know the colour of this. Do we know the colour of it? I don't know. I have no idea. Oh, I know the colour of that one. That's got to be green. To avoid a 2 by 2. Sorry, I didn't see that at all. Now, I mean, what on earth am I meant to do now? I'm so sorry if you can do this. I don't know what to do at all. I don't know where to look, frankly. I don't want to look at this one. Do I really have to look at this one as well? Do I know the ordering of that one? The black dot. Oh, maybe I do actually. Hang on. Hang on. We know that green is the shaded colour, don't we? So, yeah. Okay. So look at the black dots that we've got in the sort of northwest corner. Now, green is the shaded colour. We worked that out earlier. And this one is correct where green is treated, where green is doubled. This one is not correct where green is doubled, but there's meant to be two that are correct when green is doubled. So this one has to be correct when green is doubled. So that's definitely not an 8, because that would have the value of 16. So that's not a 2, because we know that 2 and 8 go together on the thingies. So if this has the value of 4, that gets doubled. So it would have the value of... Oh no, hang on, that doesn't work, does it? No, that's the wrong way round. If this gets doubled, this has to have its own value. And it would have to be a 4 again, because this would have value 8. And this would have to be in a 1:2 ratio with it. So this has come right down. This is 1 or 2. And that one, oh, I see. So this one can't be 1 anymore, is what we've just learnt, because 1 goes with 4 across a black dot. So this is 4 or 8. And this is 1 or 2. At least that's putting some pressure on this Renban. Oh yeah, here we go. So I've just looked at time. 51 minutes. I've been going at this 51 minutes. That is the fastest 51 minutes ever in the history of time. Right. Now, one thing I learned up here is that I have to put 2 odd values onto these 4-cell Renbans. And the only way of creating odd values is by the digits themselves being odd. Now, I'm just wondering if that's a 1. If green is odd values here, then that would be a 1. This Renban has to be consecutive, so this is going to be 3. And these 2 cells, which are doubled, remember, have to have the values now 2 and 4. Well, the only way of creating a value of 2 with a doubler is with another 1, but I've made that a 1. So that doesn't work. I don't think that works. So I think that has to be... Well, hang on, be careful, Simon. Does that mean that's not a 1, or does it... Maybe it just means these are odd. Yeah, it definitely means that this can't be... that green is not odd. Yeah, these 2 have to be odd. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. That's not the greatest thing ever, is it? Same as that one, though. So these 2 have even values made up of doubling this one and doubling this one. So if that was a 1, that would have the value of 2. And this one would have to be... Yeah, I think these have to be close together, don't they? Because if this is a 1, I don't think this could be as high as 3, because it's then going to have to be doubled, because these 2 are going to be the doubled ones. 1 doubled is 2, 3 doubled is 6. You can't close the gap. It's not possible. So if this is 1, this is 2. And this would have the values 2 and 4. One of these would be a 3. Oh, this would be a 3-5 pair. That would make sense. Okay. But what happens if this is 2? It has the value 4. And then presumably this can be 1 as well. Just the opposite analysis. And this could be 3 perhaps as well. Because if this has a value of 4, this could be 6. But this couldn't be a 4. It couldn't be 2 and 4 here. Because 4 and 8 values can't be closed by... Well, they need a third even digit, which we're not getting. So, there is definitely, I think, a 2 in one of those, because they can't be a 1-3 pair. Again, 2 and 6 are too far apart. And that means... I don't know what that means. Yeah, but hang on. Now can I get that one? Not sure. In fact, is this now wrong? Hang on. No, it's fine. Oh, no, I can do this, I think. Yeah. Oh, this is very clever. Not of me. I've been anything but clever. Right. But, yeah, this is very nice. This is very nice. This one, even though it's yellow, it works in the analysis where green is the doubler. Yeah? That one is going to be a truth when that is. This one works where green is the doubler. So this one has to work when yellow is the doubler. And therefore, these two are doubled. So they are not... So these are the 5 and the 7 is what we've just learnt. These are the 2 and the 3. And let's just recapitulate that and double check that that's correct. So when yellow is treated as a doubler, this works. This definitely won't work, and this definitely won't work. Yeah, that's fine. That is correct. Well, I think it's correct. Now, yeah, that digit is 5 or 7. Now, this Renban definitely has that digit on it, and that digit is here. So these squares are 4, 5, or they're these two digits, and there is no 1 on this Renban. So it's got 9 on it, obviously, and 8. Don't know where they go, but that's how it works. So, oh, goodness me! I don't know how long this has been available. Where's 4 in this box? I was actually I got there by thinking about where the 5 or the 7 was going to go down here, but I didn't realise I could have written 4 in here. I've had a 4 in here for ages, and none of these seem to be able to be 4. So that's 4, which we know partners 1 across the black dot. So this is a 2 now. This is good. This is very good. So now these have to be 3 and 5 to be consecutive with 2 and 4. And not reuse the 1, obviously. So this is not 1, 3, or 5. And see if if that's a 7 up here, this is a 7. Yeah, and this arrow's getting very punchy now because all the low digits have gone in box 9. So these squares, forgive me for this, but I'm just going to over highlight them. But these two are adding up to at least 13. Yeah, so this circle can't be yellow, because imagine it was yellow. Actually, I don't think... No, it really can't be yellow, can it? No, it really can't. It's totally... It's funny how this thing makes you question everything. But no, it can't be. It can't be yellow, because even if yellow meant doublers, these two are getting doubled as well. So the maximum value of this would be 18. And if 6 and 7 are getting doubled, that's 12 plus 14, which is a lot more, isn't it? So there's no way. This has to be a different colour to these, so that there is a possibility that in some shading this will work. And it's still, I think it's still difficult, this, you know. The minimum sum of that is 30. So the way in which this arrow is going to work is when this is a doubler and these 3 are all natural, and presumably this is natural, although I'm not certain about that. I mean, the minimum value of those two squares is going to be... Ah, no, it's not, is it? No, it's not. Right. I was about to say the minimum value of these squares is 3. If they were both yellow, undoubled, and you were adding them to those. But that can't work, actually, because remember we were looking at 1 in this spot. Well, 1 on the Renban. We said there isn't a 1 on the Renban. That's true. I've got a 1 here. So there's a 1 on the X up here. And this square can't be 1 or 2. So this is at least a 3, which I think also means it's probably definitely not green. It can't be green. No, it can't be. It can't be doubled. We know that green on this arrow is correct when this is doubled. If this is doubled as well, it's at least a 3. So that's 6 of value plus 13 there. That's 19, but this can only have a maximum value of 18. So this is definitely yellow. This is definitely green to avoid a 2 by 2. This green has to get out. So that's green. And I still don't think we've finished here, because the minimum value of these is 4, 3 plus 1. And the minimum value of those is 13. So the minimum value of those is now 17. And that's therefore can't be double 8, because that would only get you to 16. So there is a 9 here. I mean, Oddlyeven. What a brain. What a brain you are gifted with, my friend. Oh my goodness. Now there is 1 degree of freedom. You can't put 9 down here, because we can't. I mean, the minimum this would then be is 15 plus 3 is 18. This would have to be a 0. So there's no 9 in these cells. Can you put 8 here? You can't put 8 and 7 for the same reason. 8, 7 plus 3 is already 18. So there's definitely a 6 on this arrow. There's no 6 in the corner. And if this was as minimum as it can be, it would be 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is 1 or 2. And there is a degree of freedom. I think that could be 4 if this was 1. 1, 4, 6, 7 would potentially work. That would be 4. That would work. No, that would work. It might be that we meant to think about 1 being on this X. It's funny though. I don't know if you're finding this, if you are watching this and trying to follow it, but even that feels hard to think about for some reason. I mean, obviously, okay, if this is green, then the only way that can be a correct clue, given it's got a 1 on it, and we're doing the same thing to both digits, is if that is a 1-9 pair. So 1-9 is a possible fill for this. In fact, that would have to be one way up, because that can't. So it would have to go that way up because of this 9. But what happens if this is yellow? If it's yellow, let's just put it in and see if we can think it through. Then one of the digits is a 1. Oh, I've just realised something else that could have happened. I was wrong. Oh goodness me! Hang on, I've just spotted another. I don't think it works, but I didn't spot it. What would happen if these had added up to 5 and green had been doubled? I said incorrectly. The only way this could work, if these were double green, was with 1 and 9. That turns out to be true, but I overlooked the possibility they could have been 1 and 4, both doubled. And the only reason that can't happen is because there's a 4 here. This is very hard. It's very hard. Now, if this is yellow, though, how does that work? One of these is then doubled. So the 1 must be the doubled, because otherwise it's going to have you're going to need a doubler to get to an odd value. So the 1 will be doubled and go with an 8. And okay, that's interesting. So it would have to go this way up. So it has to look like that. If this is two coloured, this is sort of bichromatic. I don't know. I just don't know. What would it's okay. Hang on. The odd. These are correct when they have odd. How? Yeah. Simon. Right. Sorry. These cells are all odd. It's weird, actually. The odd digits, but yeah, the even digits had to be odd because they had to be disprovable under a certain shading, and the odd digits have to be odd because they have to be provable under a certain shading. Isn't that? I mean, I feel like I'm saying sentences that ought to just be completely and utterly nonsense, and yet somehow under this rule set they aren't. Now, we're also going to have to make, these can't all be the same colour. But they're not close enough together, I don't think, for us to really know much about them. I don't know, sorry. Can I do some Sudoku 2 in this box? Oh, 1 is in one of those 3 cells. I still don't think this has to be a 1. I think it could be a 2. And see, no, this one, I just don't think this Renban's doing enough damage now. I mean, it was a useful Renban. Sorry, I don't know where to look. I am trying to see something and failing miserably. I've had a couple of days on the channel. The last 2 days, the videos have been shorter actually than recent averages, I would suggest. I think 30 minutes was the wonderful Dorlier half circles puzzle, and then yesterday's puzzle by James Sinclair was around 40 minutes, and I've been absolutely sideswiped today. I don't really know how to do this. I can see this digit is a big digit because it sees 1, 2, 3 and 4. I don't think we can put 5 on an X in this puzzle. No, you can't. You can't put 5 on, because even if it gets doubled, you'd have to put it opposite a 0. And if it doesn't get doubled, there's no way to create an odd value here that ever makes it correct. So this is a genuinely high. In fact, it's not 9 either. So that is 6, 7 or 8. Now, what does... But that doesn't mean I don't think we know it's shading, do we? Or do we know it's shading? Oh, that's just doing my head in. If we know it's shading, I can see if it's yellow by Yin Yang, this has to be green to get the green out, and that would be, so that actually that's interesting. If that's yellow, not only is that double green, but because of the potential 2 by 2 here, this is double yellow. So does that make any sense? Okay, if that was the case, that would have to be a real X. That would be 1, 9. This would have to be a real x in some situation as well. So this would be 2 or 3. This would be 7 or 8. And the alternative is that this is green, and then I don't really know what's going on. If this is green, it's clearly, because green is sort of doubling gives rise to 2 truths, doesn't it? And that's definitely an untruth. If this is green, this x would definitely be wrong, because this digit already has a value of, or this cell has a value of 12, 14 or 16. So this would be the incorrect x clue under green analysis. So this would have to be correct, treating this as a doubler, which would mean this couldn't be 8. So this would be 1. Oh, that doesn't work. Good grief. I mean, that's so hard to see and so paradoxical to my brain. I cannot tell you. I think I've got it, but it's mad. It's totally mad. Yeah. So let me just go through this again, and we will go through it together. So we know that green means green is the shaded colour. And the wording of the rules says that if the shaded colour is treated as a doubler, 2 clues have to be correct under that analysis. And this one definitely wouldn't be. So these 2 have to both be correct, treating green as doublers, which means this can't be 8, because that would have a value of 16. So this has to be 1, having a value of 2, that has to be 8, which fails. So both clues are incorrect under green analysis, and that's not going to work. So this has to be yellow, this has to be green to get out, this has to be yellow to avoid a 2 by 2 here. And now look at this one. This has to be correct under doubling or not, and we know there's a 1 on it, and we know it doesn't have 4 on it, so it has to be correct as a natural green dot. A natural green dot. I mean, my brain's gone mad. A natural X, which means it's a 1-9 pair, given it's got 1 on it. And that seems to have to be the 1. That seems to have to be the 9. Okay, so that places 9 down here. That becomes a 7. That's useful. That becomes 6, 8, which is 14. That's forcing these to be very low in order to keep the whole value down to 18. So this has got to be 3, this has got to be 1, this is 3, this is 5. I suspect we can do this one now. Oh, that's green. That is definitely green, which is an interesting thing to note. Now, so there has to be a way that this is correct under one analysis. Yeah, that's going to have to, it can't be 3 or 4 now. So that's got to be 2, that's got to be 8. Now, what does that mean? This white dot is where we're going, isn't it? I know it is. Oh, no. Boom. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. That's quite exciting. Okay, let's look at it. Column 7. What do we need? We need 5, 6, and 7. Can we do any better than that? I don't know. I know I should know. I just don't understand. I mean, if this is... I mean, how can this be correct if these are different colours? Because then one of them has to be treated as a doubler. And it's going to be massive, and it's not going to be consecutive under any circumstance with the other one, is it? So I think that has to be green. There, I've said it. So this is now a real black dot, a real white dot, I should say, in the sense that there has to be an analysis which gives rise to this being a truth. So it must have an even digit on it. So this digit is now I've got a 4, 5, 7 triple, and that's become a 6. And these squares in this column are the digits 4 and 8. And that's probably important. How on earth? Where on earth? Oh, this can't be a 1. This can't be a 3. That can't be a 7. That might be important. I'm desperately looking around, trying to. I don't know. Oh, I do vaguely see where it might be next. It might be that digit. I'm not sure, but I've just noticed that digit's quite a big number. Yeah, it probably is this, isn't it? Because actually, we might have to be a bit careful thinking this through. This digit here is at least a 4. I mean, in fact, let's fully label it up. 4, 5, 6, or 7, I think, are the options for this cell. So we can see that these two digits are definitely adding up to at least 10, even if neither is doubled. So, oh, I'm getting attacked by a fly. So this is definitely a doubler. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that this is... I don't know. I sort of feel it might have to be a different colour to this, but I'm not certain. I'm not certain. I know that probably sounds completely and utterly mad. If these were the same colour, let's say this was 4, and this was... Oh no, actually, hang on. Maybe that was possible, but I hadn't realised this couldn't be 9 or 8 in the circle. That's going to be very constraining. That's going to be super constraining. Okay, so I mean, some of these are nonsense, because this has to be doubled. So if this was doubled 4, it would have a value of 8. We know they're adding up to 10, so that doesn't work. In fact, if this is doubled 5... Oh, jeepers, that is a big fly. If this is double 5, 10... that would have to have a value of 0. So this has to be a 7. It has to be doubled. This is now not a 7 by Sudoku. That's not a 7. This is a 5 by Sudoku. So that's a 7. This is a 5. This is a 4. Oh, this is going. This is going a little bit. These squares are 2, 8, 9. These squares are 4, 5, 6. And these are a 1, 3 pair. And goodness only knows what that does to that x. But surely the game in town now, this is going to have a value of 14. So if this was doubled and we kept it as low as we could, then it would have the value of 8 plus 6 is 14. This would have to have a value of 0. So this is a different colour to this cell. That's got to be yellow. And this has to be green. This has to... the analysis that makes this arrow correct, this cannot be a doubler. So it has to have the same colour as green. And now these have the value of at least 10. And this has to be green as well. Because if this was doubled, it's got the value of at least 3. And again, that's going to take this up too high. So that's green. That's yellow to avoid a 2 by 2. Avoid a checkerboard here, make that green. Now, I suppose another way of thinking about it is that these two add up to 8, don't they? So that can't be 6, because this can't be 2. So this is 4 or 3. That feels like I really would like to resolve that. Is there something I can do to help myself resolve that? I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, I don't see it. 14. Yeah, I don't see how to do it. So it's probably this, isn't it? Which is a terrifying thought. Okay, so how does this work? So we need, well, hang on. Oh, I see. This could be a 1-4 pair. If this was green. If these were different, does that work? We need, oh, it might work actually. No, it might work. So let's think this through. I think it's this congregation that we're going to have to figure out now. Now, if green is treated as a doubler, 2 of these clues exactly have to be correct. Now, this would not be correct, would it? This would be correct. So this would need to be correct. Treating green as the doubler, but this is an odd digit. That doesn't work. Yeah, that doesn't work. Fine, fine. Okay, so this is green. This is correct under green being a doubler. This needs to be correct under green being a doubler. So the only way this works is if this is a 4-1 pair adding up to 5, double both of them, and then we are good to go, aren't we? And now this is a 5, so that is a 3. This is a 3 by Sudoku. That's a 6 by Sudoku. This is not a 5 anymore. And that's actually that. We might get no, I was going to say we might get another 3 in the corner, but no, we won't. This is not a 3 anymore by Sudoku. And we're probably going to look at this arrow. That's what I'm thinking, but I might be wrong. Can I do any? Oh, Yin Yang, I can. Look, that's threatening to be a checkerboard, naughty little thing. Now this is threatening to be a 2 by 2, so we can fix that. Oh goodness, I mean, I haven't got that many clues left to figure out, have I? If I can get this arrow done, I'm only left with some white dots and some thingies. I'm not claiming I understand either of those thingies, but I might in the fullness of time be able to figure something out. There's a 5 up here, so that this is now a 6-7 pair, so I should know these digits. 2, 5. Oh, that's good. Where's 2 in the box? 2, 5. Okay. Yeah, and we've got the same sort of thing going on this arrow, haven't we? In the sense that these 2 digits here are really quite large. The minimum value that if we put the minimum digits I possibly can, they already add up to 10. So we know that in the correct version of this arrow, this is a doubler. Now, what does that mean? So it's a doubler that's got to reach at least the value of 11 if this was a 1. So this is at least a doubled 6. So it's 6, 8 or 9 being doubled here. And what about that? If that cell is not a 1, what is it? Because it can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would be at least a 7 then. Is that oh no, that's not how to think about this. That is not how to think about this. Well, or is it? Hang on. Okay, something I've just noticed which might be relevant. I'm sure it is relevant, and my daft brain just won't tell me quite. I've just noticed those can't both be yellow, is what I've noticed. Because that's going to make this a 2x2. So at least one of these is green. But does that mean that this... If this is a doubler... I'm not sure. I feel that is important. I feel like I probably... If I could construct the right thought process, I would know the colour of this. Oh, I tell you what I might be able to do, you know. Yeah, I know how to do it. I'm going to look at the other arrows. Now this one... So this is correct when green is a doubler. What about that? That's definitely not correct when green is a doubler, is it? If green is a doubler, this is totally and utterly wrong. Now we know green has to be a doubler. When green is a doubler, 2 clues are correct. So this is correct when green is a doubler. So if this was yellow, it can't be correct. So that must be green. So which means this is not a doubler on this arrow. But one of these is green because of this 2x2. So we're doubling at least a 4 on here, which is going to have a value of 8. We're then adding that to 6 at least, which is going to take us to 14. So we're already beating a double 6 here. So if this wasn't a 1, oh no, that doesn't work. This is definitely a 1 now, because the minimum value these can have is doubled 4 plus 6, which is 14, I think. Yes, I'm going mad. And then if I don't add 1 to that and add 7, I'm already on 21, which I can't make this add up to. So this is 1. Yeah, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Oh, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful point. Okay, this is an odd number, and it has an odd value for the purposes of the arrow. This is going to be a doubled number, so this has an even value. So something here that we know there's a green digit, that's going to have to be an even value. So there must be a yellow odd digit here. It has to be yellow because if it's a doubler, it's going to have an even value. Now, that also has to be an actual odd digit to correct the parity for this. And it's not 1, 3 or 5, so it's 7 or 9. Now I just wonder if it was 9, this would be 8. Maybe that does work, just. No, hang on. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. No, it doesn't. Because if this was 1 and this had 9 on it, that's already 10. Plus double 4 is 18, but this is a double 8 in this situation. It's not. It doesn't work at all. So this is 1 and 7. Which means this can't be 7, but maybe I should stick with this. 1 and 7, and either double 4, which would get us to this being an 8. But it can't be double 5. And if it was double 6, it's too big, isn't it? Because that gets us to 20. So it is a 4-7 pair. And this is an 8. That's absolutely bizarre. Right, this is 8, this is 6. Oh, what was I saying about this cell? I noticed I've got 7s here and 7s here. So the 7 in row 5, or row 4 I should say, I've gone completely mad, is in one of those cells. So neither of these is a 7. This is 4, 7. So this is 9 and 6, which we can actually write in. Now, can we do better than that? I I don't know. This is one of each colour. I should definitely try and track that, shouldn't I? It's one of each. Because one of these is double 4 and one of these is natural 7. This cell. Nearly. Can't be a 1. It can't be a 9. It's 5 actually. That's doable. 5 is in one of those two cells. 1, 2, 3 and 9 across here. This is 1 or 3. C's 2 and 9. 1, 2, 3 and 9. Oh, go on. I'm going to do that just because I'm so discombobulated by the puzzle. What about, where are 5? That's a good question. That's a totally reasonable question. Where are 5 and 6 in box 4? I think they have to be there. So this is 8 and 9. It's not resolved, but it still felt quite exciting for a moment. Okay, so down column 1, we need 1, 3 and 4. And that's not 1 and that's not 3. And we are chocolate teapotted there. But 3, we need 2 and... Oh, we can do 2. That's 2. That's 7. So does that help us? 7 is in one of those two. Oh, bobbins, I don't know. Wow. Wow. Okay. I don't really know what to do again, unsurprisingly. We've got a white dot here that's entirely green. So under the analysis where green is a doubler, that's totally and utterly wrong. So these two have to be correct under the analysis that green is a doubler, because we know green always has 2 corrects. But that doesn't mean either of these have to have green on them at all. They could be double yellow, I think. I mean, that might be wrong for some weird reason I don't understand, but I think in theory at least it's correct. So these digits are 4, 6, 7, 8. Are we going to get any Sudoku from that? That's not 4. That's not 6 or 7. So that is even. That could be important actually on the white dot. Oh, in fact, I've got a 4-8 pair in the row, so that might be important for reasons that... Yeah, what I'm thinking is, whether this is yellow or green, it's an even value digit on a white dot. There has to be a way of making this have an odd value on it. It has to be correct under one colouring. The only way is if that's a 7. So that's a 6. That's a 7 down here. Now, do we get... does that result in anything else? Where's 6 actually in box 8 is a question I could ask. And the answer is there. That's a Sudoku point. And now I'm stuck again. I just... If this was... Okay, if this was green, there have to be 2 truths under green analysis. This is definitely not true. So if that's green, it turns even under green analysis, and that can't work. So that is yellow, which means that's yellow to avoid a checkerboard. So this has to be correct under some analysis, so that's definitely an 8, which means this is definitely a 4, and this is definitely an 8. 8 and 9 go into the grid. This is not a 9 anymore. Oh, please. That's not an 8 anymore. Oh, that was really exciting for a moment. Oh, avoid a checkerboard thingy there. Avoid a Oh, might be in trouble here. That's got to be green now to avoid a 2x2, but that green is definitely wrong, isn't it, under the analysis of green being a doubler, because that's going to convert this to an even value. So don't both of those have to be yellow? I mean, I might be wrong, but imagine this was green. We know green is shaded. So if shaded cells are treated as doublers, 2 of the clues are correct. Well, 2 of the clues definitely are not correct. Yeah, that's total rubbish. So these both have to be yellow. This has to be green. This has to be green to avoid a checkerboard. This has to be yellow to avoid a checkerboard. This green has to get out. No, now I could be in trouble on this white dot as well, but we'll worry about that in a moment. What's going on now? Okay, we've got to work on this green dot, I think, because we know that this one is wrong under green analysis. So this one has to be, green analysis being doubling analysis. This is a doubler, and it has to be correct. So this has to have an odd value. It's not brilliant, but that does mean it's yellow at least. And that forces this green to go one further. It's unbelievably clever, this puzzle. Now, so this has a doubled value. I'm probably going to have to do Sudoku on it, which is a terrifying thought. It's got quite a low value actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Not 1. C's 1. Can we do any better than that? Not sure. I mean, is it really the case that's going to be a 5 with a 9 here? Double 5. Could be. It really could be. Or can I do more yin yang somehow? I know this is one of each, don't I? Actually, if that's yellow, that would be yellow. That would be green. Oh, goodness, I don't know. I don't know. Right. Sorry, if you've all spotted what to do now, I respect you immensely, and I'm very jealous. What about, okay, let's try Sudoku in the bottom row. Yeah, where's 8 in the bottom row? I can put it in. So that's 8 in the top row. Now this square's 1 or 4. Which I don't think I can do anything with. I've got a 1. Look at that column. 1, 2, and 9 are a triple. So that square's got to be the missing digit. That's a 4. That is going to be interesting, actually, because now that's 4 and that's 7. I think I know the order of those. 7 in terms of shading. That's 7. That's 6. That's 6. Oh, this is going a bit again. This is now a 3. This is a 2. Oh, that's brilliant. That is absolutely what we needed. Right, 1, 5, and 9 across here. But I'm sort of excited about this. I'm really excited about this, and I'm also excited about this. This can't be 9 anymore. It won't work under any analysis. This has a value of 4, and this has to be 3 because it had to be correct. Remember, because this one wasn't. So this is a 3. Oh. Oh, yeah, no, that's good. 1, 4, 3, 1, 2, 5. This is 2, so that's 9 at the top. That's 2. That 9 means this is 5. Should be able to put 5 in here, 9 in here, 2 in here, 9, 1. I've done the puzzle. I haven't done the shading. 4. That looks good. That looks good. Right. So what is going on? Well, I think it's going to be resolving this, because remember we said the 4 was the doubler, which is therefore the green digit. So this is going to be yellow. Now we avoid a checkerboard there. This green has to get out. This green at the bottom has to get out. This green at the bottom, this sort of submarine shape, has to get out. It's just going to be this shape, which, yeah, look at the greens. If I double click the greens, they're not connected. This sort of moose head here is not connected, but I can connect it like that. I mean, that car, that must be right. There's no way that you can, that can be fluky. Well, it's probably fluky, but there's no way it could be wrong once you get to that position. That is a brain-busting puzzle. Absolutely bizarre. Truly, might be one of the most difficult rule sets. And I'm doing it a disservice by using the word difficult. I don't mean to suggest it's obtusely difficult. I just mean that to actually make your head think about it correctly, it's like your brain resists it at every moment. I found it very hard for that reason, and yet I think it's totally fairly expressed, and it's purely my own inadequacies that lead to it being difficult at all. But the logic is completely original and quite baffling, and Oddlyeven should take a bow. I think Viking Prime also, I mean, it's a testament to Viking Prime's puzzles, but also what a lovely tribute to get, to say that you inspired that one. It's I don't know, it's definitely a tribute, and it says something about Viking Prime too. Anyway, I loved it. Let me know in the comments, longer video tonight, how you got on with it. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.